Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We still have a few people. We still have people joining, so we're going to wait maybe 2, 3 minutes and then come back and start the webinar. So thank you, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Gain Competitive Advantage with Faster Software Delivery with Spinnaker. My name's Bo Roberts. I run marketing at OpsMx, and I'll be the host for the webinar today. Just a few announcements and a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions for our presenter and you'd like to have him answer them during the Q&A, please type those into the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. There's also a couple of handouts, a couple documents that you can access from the GoToWebinar control panel as well. Some documents that are relevant for today's presentation, so check those out. And yeah, now without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to today's presenter, Anoop Thotapalli, who's a senior DevOps engineer at OpsMx. So Anoop, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Bo. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's safe during this pandemic today. So yeah, just to give you a brief introduction about who we are and what we do at OpsMx. So we are OpsMx, founded in the year of 2016 with a vision to assist medium to large enterprises achieve high velocity of deployments, software delivery without human intervention with high confidence. So to achieve this, we have chosen Spinnaker to be our main platform to achieve our CI/CD goals. And in this process, we have also developed our in-house product called Autopilot, which will assist users to not only execute, which will assist users to also capture their verification details while the release deployments are happening in parallel with the help of Autopilot, which is totally a machine learning based product, wherein you can capture all your verification details, metrics, in detail metrics, and save it in your system. And so we are a team of 60 plus engineers based out of California and India. And our reference customers with whom we have successfully delivered our Cisco on Stand Chatter, and we have a couple of other customers in line. But major infrastructure, a high time big infrastructure that is available from OpsMx is with Cisco on Stand Chatter. So with this, I'd like to hand over to Bo for a quick poll.
Yeah, thanks, Anoop. So one of the things we like to do at the beginning of our webinars is just do a couple poll questions so that our presenter can understand who's in the audience and sort of tailor the presentation a little bit for the audience. So I'm just going to launch a couple poll questions, and if you guys could quickly answer those questions, that would be great. The first question is, are you currently doing continuous delivery? And if yes, with what percentage of your production applications? So if you could just answer that question, and then I'll put the results up so people can see the results, and then we'll do one more question. Okay, still got a couple people. Voting, but I'm going to close it in a few seconds. So if you'd like to vote in this poll question, just do that now. And okay, I'm going to close that. And let's see, looks like we've got people doing, yeah, we've got a lot of people doing continuous delivery, 50% in dev and test. So interesting. Okay. And the next question is your organization currently evaluating or using Spinnaker specifically? So again, if you could just answer that question, I'll share the results, and then we'll get started on the presentation. Okay, let's see, we've got a few more people. Look like they are voting. Okay, I'm gonna close this poll in just a few seconds. So if you'd like to vote, please do that now. And okay, I'm gonna close that. And okay, so it looks like we've got some people evaluating Spinnaker and some other people using it in production. So that's great. Okay, interesting. Anoop, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Bo. Thank you, everybody, for responding back to the poll. So before we start our deep dive about Spinnaker, I would like to discuss a few basics about how current enterprises are transforming into continuous delivery, and what are the challenges that they're facing, and how Spinnaker can be useful to help all of those. So while all of us know many enterprises are right now undergoing digital transformation of their business, and most of the cases, the common challenges where they face is delivering software within the given SLA. So in this process, most of the scenarios they're adapting into the best practices, like increasing usage of public clouds and containers, or developing a cloud native application such as microservices, and to meet the market, the product delivery, the enterprises are planning to deliver the product on an hourly or a day with hourly or a daily releases right now. So for these, obviously, enterprises are using multiple tools, and I've just listed out a couple of challenges the couple of challenges with the processes with the tools available right now. So one of that is handling custom scripts. So this is basically hard to maintain for a cloud native or a multi-cloud deployments because first and foremost is they're error prone because obviously all of the scripts are manually written by a user, and it's there are high chances of missing a minor thing and running into errors, and lack of support. So in case if any of the custom script fails, that impacts there will be a huge impact of team efforts, revenue, and also obviously if you're delivering the product to customer, it also includes the reputation of your of the process. So, and this is most challenging where if someone is leaving from a team, knowledge transfer becomes person dependent. So if the person is not available, there might be a huge backlog on the knowledge transfer. And manual verification, this is also one of the error-prone stage, as these are the scenarios that I have noticed so far. Um, Usually people tend to focus on taking up easy bugs and verifying them, or reuse the test scripts those are already available, or lack of understanding the requirement and testing according to whatever is available, or etc. So these are the minor challenges which I have observed, and manual approvals are usually time consuming because let's say we are sending out a deployment to production, and there you have a manual approval required so that someone will verify through all the bugs and approve it. So in that stage, there might be a delay for the deployment. If the user is not available, there might be a delay for the deployment to promote to production. So um, if this particular stage for the manual approval is delayed, it is as good as the SLA is missed out. And the next last but not the least, the point is ensuring compliance and enforcing the policies according to your organization. So while ensuring the compliance and policies, meeting the SLA of the releases is quite challenging. So keeping these challenges in mind, we kind of we have addressed that Spinnaker would be a best solution for all of these issues, which I will demonstrate you on how can this help. So that I'll give a brief introduction about Spinnaker. So for some of you, or for some of who's not familiar about Spinnaker, so Spinnaker is a continuous delivery tool developed and battle tested by Netflix since 2014, and uh, this too on 2015 Netflix open sourced Spinnaker to the community, and since then it was backed by major tech giants like Google, AWS, Pivotal, um, Microsoft, Target, and the list goes on. So as I've mentioned, this is an open source multi-cloud continuous delivery platform, which assists users to deliver software changes seamlessly with confidence and high velocity. And so Spinnaker is majorly designed with pluggability in mind. As I mentioned in the previous slide, this was battle tested in Netflix in such an environment where they had around 7,000 plus applications on their production, with approximately 6 to 7,000 deployments on a day-to-day basis. So Coming to cloud providers support, Spinnaker supports almost all of the major cloud providers available in the market right now, like Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, Oracle, Kubernetes, and uh, and so on. So there are all the platforms that's available as a cloud provider. Spinnaker definitely supports it. And also, I haven't mentioned this in the deck, but um, if you're planning to install your Spinnaker on a firewall-based instance, like within restricted access of your environment, that is also possible by an air-gapped installation process, which is a little which needs a little more effort than how we install it on the cloud. But yeah, it can be done. Uh, and Coming to the pipeline, so this is the best part. All the pipelines, any pipeline that you create, it can be trigger-based pipeline via let's say like Git events, Jenkins, Travis. So basically, any CI platform that you have, it supports for trigger-based pipelines. All it needs is once your developer commits the code, you can enable trigger on your pipeline, and the pipeline gets triggered and it gets deployed on your environments as you need. One of the best feature that makes Spinnaker unique is to create and deploy immutable images for faster rollouts to deployment into multiple environments, or in case if you notice any discrepancies in your deployment, for easier rollbacks also. Uh, so you might have this question, once if the deployment is gone without any downtime, how fast can we roll back? So there is a minimal downtime, like it's about seconds time, uh, with the help of inbuilt best practice pipeline strategies available in Spinnaker, let's say like red, black, or blue, green. So all you need is, if you're unsatisfied with your deployment, all you have to do is reject the deployment. It will automatically revert back to your previous version of deployment. So it's that simple. And coming to the community, there's a huge community available for Spinnaker, like we're around some 9,000 users keep discussing about the issues they face on a day-to-day basis. If you're willing to join to the community, all you got to do is visit Spinnaker.io and get an invite for the Slack, and you'll be into the Spinnaker community, and you can look at the activities happening on a day-to-day basis. So we have already discussed features of Spinnaker, but what makes Spinnaker so unique? Because all of these features are already available, but in addition, what makes it so unique? So one of that is application management, which allows you to manage collection of clusters, load balancers, firewall settings, pipelines, deployment strategies, all in one single UI. You don't have to juggle between multiple tabs or multiple browsers. Once you log into a Spinnaker, you're using AWS, and you want to set up an AWS Elastic Load Balancer to your application. So all you have to do is you can get in, and you can get in through the pipeline, set it up from the deployment stage, and you can execute the pipeline. Once your deployment is done, you will see your application accessing the load balancer that you have pointed to. So again, some of the rich features that's available in Spinnaker, as I've already mentioned, um, Spinnaker makes it easy for you to execute a reliable deployments, and inbuilt best practices for pipeline strategies. like Highlander and red black or a blue green, which I've explained just a couple of minutes ago. Highlander is usually when the latest version of deployment is fully healthy, it will wait for the deployment to come up to healthy stage and it will destroy the previous stage. Whereas in red black, uh, it will just gray out the previous version of deployment and you can still see the previous version of deployment on Spinnaker. In case if you see there is any issue in the latest version, all you have to do is roll back. It will automatically shift back to the previous version. So that's the best part of red, black, or blue green strategy. And other features like CI integration, I've already mentioned Jenkins, Travis CI, Circle. So basically, you name any CI tool that's available, it's supported by Spinnaker. And coming to monitoring, Datadog, App Dynamics. All of those monitoring tools, Datadog, App Dynamics, Grafana, Prometheus. So whatever is available in the market right now, it's pretty much supported. Uh, just the configuration differs for each and every tool, but it will meet the purpose as however you wanted to control it. And role-based access control is it allows you to from the Spinnaker UI itself, you can restrict the roles of how you want to define it to your teams. If you want a couple of members in your team just to, approve or just to execute the pipeline of dev stage, and they don't get the permissions to see the rest of the stages. So you can define it as how you want. It's completely declarative approach. All you got to do is log into the console and make changes as how you need. And notifications. Um, right now, Spinnaker supports email notifications, Slack. You can get all of the notifications to your Slack, and SMS-based notifications are available. Also, we have implemented with one of our client, Cisco. So WebEx Teams is also there's a possibility of enabling WebEx Teams as a notification to send out any notifications that you need as for your pipeline available. And Chaos Monkey integration. So Chaos Monkey is a tool that's again developed by Netflix in the year 2010. So what is the advantage of this? This basically allows users to build confidence in the system capability to handle your environment in any turbulent condition. So let's say if you're having a production system and you're seeing a high usage on a particular day. So with Chaos Monkey, you'll be able to control and maintain the usage as how you define. So this is the architecture of Spinnaker. It has multiple services. So Spinnaker consists of multiple services, basically a microservice architecture, which has a UI. Deck is one of the service which has an UI, and Gate manages all the API calls. Like when you log into the UI, and API callers communicate with Spinnaker via Gate for any other services available in Spinnaker. And Orca is the orchestration engine responsible for pipeline and other operations in Spinnaker. Cloud Driver basically handles all the calls to the cloud provider account that you configure. Let's say if you're using a Kubernetes will be configured to Spinnaker as a cloud provider. So this is basically for indexing and caching all your deployed resources. So Front 50 stores up all the metadata of your applications, pipelines, projects, and notifications. Let's say if your persistent storage, if you choose it as S3, all of the data that's available in the Spinnaker will be stored in S3 bucket, but with the help of Front 50. everything will be pushed to your bucket, and it's safe and available there. So Roscoe, this is the bakery part, which builds up your immutable VM images for all of your cloud providers like AWS, Azure, GCP. Um, so currently for building these images, Spinnaker uses Packer as a service, and Igor is the service which is responsible to trigger the pipelines via your continuous integration tools, anything you configure with Spinnaker. And the event triggers, when I mean event triggers, sending out notifications to your email, SMS, or anything. So Echo is the service that is responsible for that. And Fiat is majorly used for authorization services in Spinnaker. So for canary analysis, this is the part that I kind of missed out in the previous stages. So for automated canary analysis, Kayanta is supported by default, and Spinnaker configuration service. Um, so when you are doing a fresh install of Spinnaker, Halyard is basically um, it's mandatory to have a Halyard to configure your Spinnaker end to end. Once your configuration is done, if you want to get rid of Halyard, there is a process for that as well. So these are the quick methods to install Spinnaker. If you are using your Spinnaker for a non-prod, let's say a standalone, which you're just trying to evaluate, and you wanted to consume less resources of your cloud environment, local Debian is the best practice, but it's not recommended for production. High availability Spinnaker, which is also a distributed method, you can install on Kubernetes, OpenShift, EKS, GKE, Azure Kubernetes Service. So if you're planning to go migrate to production, this is the best practice that is suggested, because it will distribute the load within the Kubernetes cluster that you're accessing with. And Helm-based installation, there are default charts available in the Spinnaker.io, and you can also refer to our blogs, blog.opsmx.com. We have provided the instructions on how to install Helm-based installation. So this basically, it's again, it installs distributed Kubernetes completely end-to-end container-based, start from the Halyard until the other Spinnaker services, deck, gate, everything is container-based, similar to the distributed method. And operator, we from OpsMx, we have published an operator in the marketplace, which is available for both OpenShift and Kubernetes. It's completely free. If you get into operatorhub.io, you can get access of it. And if you prefer to have a fully certified operator, we also have a certified Red Hat certified operator available for OpenShift, which completely meets your compliance, basically SOX, HIPAA, you name the compliance rules. So basically, it's certified end-to-end by the Red Hat community, and all you got to do is log into your OpenShift console and start doing the setup. So it's just 2 to 3 clicks. This documentation is also available. Um, so um, apart from the default open source Spinnaker, we at OpsMx, we have customized the Spinnaker with a couple of more detailed, integrations, and we are delivering it as enterprise Spinnaker, which has our autopilot added into it, which will help you to, continuous verification, capture all your metrics, audit and know who's execute the deployments, who's approved. So basically, end-to-end audit can be executed in this process, and app visibility and management. So basically, we have bought in a different dashboard altogether, which can basically showcase how your deployments are getting executed and how it is controlled and all of that. And the feature still remains the same, built-in safe strategies that is available in Spinnaker. This is also compatible with hybrid cloud and bare metal. Large number of integrations can be executed. And coming to security and compliance, secret management, we have currently tested it with Vault integration, and most of our secrets we are also storing it in the dynamic accounts in the GitHub. So coming to the role-based access control, it works the same. However, you want to declare your role-based access to your teams, it is completely declarative as how it works usually. And policy and complaints, that's all we have about in the security features. It's basically how you want the policy to be set up. All we'll do is we'll assist, and we'll just get it through as per your requirement. So these are the features which we have spoken about, the enterprise Spinnaker, an explicit continuous delivery dashboard, easy application onboarding, best practice for templates, real-time deployment visibility, secret management is something which we have spoken about, automated verification, and with all of this, also we have integrated Istio, which is basically we are using it as a service mesh and also traffic control, wherein you want both of your deployments, your previous version and the current version, to be active until you completely test it. So you can basically define the load of how you want it to define. And for this definition also, all you have to do is define it through Spinnaker, basically just one single template, and it will take care of the deployments. So with this, I'll walk you through a quick demo of a pipeline that I have. So I'll first start off with a pipeline execution because the pipeline is actually a huge pipeline. It's going to take a quick 20 minutes of time to complete the deployment. So while the pipeline is getting executed, I'll walk you through how this is going to work out. So I've just started the pipeline, and this is the so why since the pipeline is started. Um, so for some of who's evaluating or who's never tried out Spinnaker, so this is the simple UI of Spinnaker, and this is where you find out all of your applications that you have created. And currently, this is the application that I'm using for our demo purpose. And you can see basically end to end everything on the single UI. I'm executing a AWS deployment right now where I have multi-stages. If I click on configure, I'll be able to show you the stages. I have a build, a bake stage, deploy, manual judgment. Since this for the demo purpose, I'm executing a simple deployment pipeline with a bake and build stage. And for verification purpose, we have left a manual judgment instead of automated Camry analysis. For now, to keep it simple and short, I'm executing a manual judgment. Once the judgment state is passed, if I click on continue, it will promote the deployment to production. So which will trigger a different pipeline. Here, as you see, there is a different pipeline, AWS prod deploy. It will promote the deployment to a different pipeline. So while this is executing, um, this is where we provide all the artifact details to collect the artifacts from your repository and build your application and push it to the bake stage. So here I have defined my Git repo and my application details, the branch, basically everything. And then in the next stage, this is where I'm using Jenkins right now. So Jenkins, again, there is a different approach to configure Jenkins for Spinnaker, which is again available in the documentation. There is a vast documentation of Spinnaker available on the internet. So once you configure Jenkins, this will be the account that you provide. So the Jenkins account. And once you check the current account that you want, and that is when it will load up all the Jenkins jobs available in your Jenkins in your Jenkins. So right now, since I'm using AWS, this is the build AWS build job that I'm using, and I'm saving all of my AWS AWS build artifacts into a S3 bucket. So it pushes all of the artifacts into the S3 once the build is completed. And that is where the bake comes from. So once the artifacts are pushed into the bucket, then bake tries to capture that and bake into an AMI. So here, if you see, these are the details. This is my I'm currently building into a Ubuntu 14.04 AMI. For this particular stage, this is mandatory. You need to have a pre-built AMI with the prerequisites of your application. So the current application that I am deploying, I need Java to be pre-installed in the AMI, and it should be available in my AWS. So I have given the base name and the AMI details. And in the next stage, this is where you can you can basically declare all of your deployment requirements. So right now, since I'm using AWS, I'm deploying the application into US East 1 region, and this is my VPC subnet. Once you have a managing and managed account configured with AWS, it will automatically pick up the VPC that is pointed to that particular account, um, the load balancer that is available. So you see here, this is the VPC that is available right now, and the load balancer, firewall settings, any firewall that you create. So in case if you want to expose any certain port numbers, so all of those firewall settings will be showcased here once it is pointed to the right IAM accounts that you have configured for Spinnaker. And you don't have to get into AWS console again to select your instance, what kind of instance do you need, how big your instance you need to be. So right now, since I'm using a sample deploy, I'm choosing a one CPU machine, but you can modify the memory as however you need. You need a bigger servers, all you need to do is just select it through this console and proceed with the deployment. And these are something which you need to declare. By default, this will be the values in case if you want to increase the number of instances and the successful output, once if 100% successful only, then it should freeze and all that. So these are the values which you need to define. As I've mentioned, Spinnaker is completely declarative method. You can declare all of the configurations you need as per your requirement. And the regions can be selected, whatever you need. And if you need metrics, you can capture the metrics here. And health check type. Right now, since we are using EC2, I'm checking only the EC2 account health check. This is again grace period. You can define any number you want. The access key, the SSH key that you'll be using to log into the server, it's mandatory to provide that in case if you want to log into the server and check out something in the deployment. And the IAM instance profile that you are creating for Spinnaker. So that need to be provided. That's optional, but in my case, since I'm using a different account, I have provided it by default. But it is not mandated to provide it. It's just an optional piece. So this is the deployment strategy that is available. And manual judgment, it's again, it just has two inputs, the judgment inputs, yes and no. If you approve it as yes, then it will promote the deployment to production, or else it will just roll back. You have the rollback strategy here again. So it will roll back in the cluster dev and revert back to the previous deployment. You can see the conditional expression here. In case if it is defined as no, then the deployment will be rolled back everywhere. So again, one more thing. Um, these are the simple questions that I have received in my previous sessions. So how can a user check out what is happening, how the deployments are, how can I see the status of my current pipeline and everything? So basically, you don't have to, again, as I've mentioned, you don't have to juggle between multiple places. You have the build version available here. This is the current build that is created in Jenkins, and the task status of the build, it's completely available here. Start from the start Jenkins job, monitoring the Jenkins job, getting the build properties, build artifact, basically end to end, everything is available here. And talking about bake, so this is where you can view the bakery details. In detail output is available here. So let's say this is the first point that happens, when the image get started baking out. So the AMI that I have provided in the bake stage, it is first found out the image and then proceed further. It's used the temporary keys logged in, and then uh, pushes in all of the artifacts into the image into the server, and you'll be able to see here it'll start creating an AMI with my application details, and it will wait for the AMI to get ready. At the end of the time, you'll be able to see AMIs are created in the region of where the AMI is placed at. So once this is done, the next stage is your deployment stage. Again, you will be able to see your deployment details available here on the duration, how the deployment is getting executed. And if you go to the task status, the deployment stage, how long does it, does it wait for stabilize and then get the deployment done successfully. And the next question you might have is, once the deployment is done, where can you see the infrastructure? So before I show you the infrastructure, uh, since we see the dev deploy is completed and it's asking for manual judgment. So before I go to this stage, let's go to clusters. So here you'll be seeing all of the deployments that you have. So in case if you're accessing multiple pipelines in this particular application, you'll have all the deployments that's available. If you want to look at explicit deployment, all you got to do is check it out and use it. So right now, you see 196 is already deployed, and in the production, 195 is deployed and active. So 195 is still not promoted. So when we approve in the dev deploy stage, it will push the deployment to production, and you will start noticing 195 getting grayed out, similar to what we see with 193 here. So let me click on continue. So as I click on continue, it gets succeeded with the rollback because my deployment is successful here, and it promotes the deployment to production. Yeah, as you see, the deployment is getting processed here. So you might again have this question. In the dev stage, I see only one deployment active, and in production, I see two of them. So I have changed my pipeline strategy, I mean my deployment strategy, different from what is there in production. So in dev, I'm using a Highlander pipeline strategy, which basically destroys the older version of deployment. It destroys all the previous version of server groups and keeps only the latest version active once it passes the health check. Since production is a risk prone, basically we don't have to face any challenges on production. I have kept the pipeline strategy as red black on production. Red black is nothing but blue green. So red black, it's again, it disables all the previous server groups once the health check is passed. If in case the health check is failed, all you got to do is, let's go to the server group here. So right now you see 196 is getting stabled, whereas 195 is completely disabled. So if you see this as unstable, or if the health check doesn't get successfully passed, so all you got to do is check on not allowing me to check it. So yeah, if the health check doesn't pass successfully here, all you'll have to do is check on this particular deployment, and I'm not sure why it is not showing up here, but you'll have a different console coming up here, something similar to this. Let me see if it is available. Yeah, mm, I'm not sure. I think there is an issue with this right now. So yeah, you'll have a different block popping up here, wherein you can expand the structure and a rollback for the previous version of deployment. So that's how the rollback feature can be used up. So basically, your previous deployment will still be available in the Spinnaker UI until you go ahead and delete it, or if you want it to be completely terminated. If you want to destroy, only then it will get removed from you. Until unless it will still be active at the same place. So with this, I think the demo part is done, and these are the few tutorials that is available. You can actually get into the OpsMx Spinnaker tutorial and get an access of it. And in the blogs.opsmx.com, we have quite a few interesting topics that we have documented out. So you can visit the site and access all of the blogs. And spinnakerteamslack.com, as I've mentioned, this is the community of Spinnaker. You can get into this and um, get a hold of what all discussions happening about Spinnaker and what are the new features. So basically everything is being discussed on the Slack right now. And so in case if you need any assistance from us, you can email at hello@opsmx.com, or if you have any if you need any help, you can email at hello@opsmx.com. We'll be happy to help you. So Bo, you want to take over?
Sure. Thank you, Anoop. So we're excuse me, we're at the end of the presentation part, but we're ready to begin the Q&A. Before we do that, wanted to put up a quick poll question, which really is just meant to let us know if you would like us to send you the presentation slides, or if you'd like us to follow up with you about anything in terms of Spinnaker training, onboarding, support. We also do something called a continuous delivery strategy workshop. If you'd like to talk to us about setting one of those up, we'd be happy to do that. So I'm going to just put up this quick poll. We often get asked to provide the presentation slides, and we don't make them publicly available, but we're happy to send them to you after the webinar if you'd like. So I'll just leave this up for a few more seconds, and if you could just indicate if you would like us to send you the slides or to follow up with you, that'd be great. And then we'll. Okay, looks like we've got a couple more people. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to close this in a few more seconds. So if you guys could, last people could, okay. All right, I think I'm gonna close this now. And as well, if for some reason you wanna follow up with us after this, as Anoop mentioned, you can always follow up with us at the email address hello@opsmx.com. Okay, I'm gonna close this poll now, and we'll move on to the Q&A. If you would like, we've got some questions now. If you would like to submit a question, as I said, submit that through the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll answer as many questions as we have time for. Okay, so here we go. Anoop, the first question is, can you talk about the differences and advantages between Terraform and Spinnaker?
Yeah, sure. So Terraform is actually highly used, for infrastructure as code, whereas Spinnaker is basically a continuous deployment, which provides visibility into your entire deployment pipeline and offers built-in support. There is no need of custom created scripts. So it has built-in support for creating load balancers, resizing your clusters, and rollback of your deployments, as I've just mentioned in the demo. And one of the best part of Spinnaker is the deployment pipeline strategies that is available. Red, black, blue, green, Highlander. But one similar thing is both Terraform and Spinnaker support almost all the cloud providers, which is similar to Spinnaker, and both comes complementary. So that's the similar part. But whereas talking about advantages, Spinnaker not only a continuous deployment, but you can also manage your infrastructure from Spinnaker. As we have seen, we have completed a deployment at AWS, which creates an infrastructure. And if you want to delete the infrastructure, you can also add a stage with the delete deployment stage, which can go ahead and delete your server group. So basically, infrastructure management wise, also it can be controlled by a Spinnaker. Yeah.
Okay, our next question is, let's see, how can we set roles between teams for who can deploy into production?
So it can be done from the UI, from the Spinnaker UI itself. So let me see if I have a role-based access enabled in this so that I can quickly walk you through. So yeah, right now Yeah, I don't think I have RBAC enabled, but yeah, excuse me. So from the application itself, you'll be able to, set up all of your access. So in case if you have provided Spinnaker access to a group, all you can do is you can check the group. There will be a drop down in the application when you click on config at this part. So you should be able to configure it right from there. That's a possibility.
Okay. We're coming towards the end of the hour, so if anyone else has any additional questions for Anoop, please submit them now, and we'll try to answer one or two more. Let's see, Anoop, the next question is it possible to set up Spinnaker behind an HTTP firewall?
Yes, yeah, it is possible. There are two methods again. If your HTTP, if your firewall within the organization is a little liberal, then all you have to do is set up a few Java parameters, JVM parameters, and then start up with your installation. If not, so usually in banking sectors, it's not that liberal. So in that case, we need to go with the air-gapped installation process. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Okay, I think we've got time for maybe one more. Another question is, does Spinnaker support Helm 3 charts to bake?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does support. Yeah, there is a documentation available in blog.opsmx.com if you would like to visit that. So yeah, it does support Helm 3 for Backstage. Earlier, it used to be Helm 2, but with the latest release, 1.19, I think Helm 3 support is available right now.
Okay. Okay, I think we've reached the end of our questions, and we're coming up on the top of the hour, the end of the webinar. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. As we mentioned, if you'd like to follow up with us, you can always reach us at hello@opsmx.com. Please check out our webinar calendar at opsmx.com. We've added a lot of new webinars and also tech talks that are coming up in May and June. So please check that out, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you very much.